Hello friends, so welcome to the part 6 of this Always On series. Till now, until part 5, we actually created three virtual machines. Then, one of the virtual machine we actually configured domain controller on that. Then we done some DNS configuration. We created Active Directory user. Then we added failover cluster, feature on both the VMs, that is Node 1 and Node 2. Then we actually updated the DNS server on both the nodes. Then I joined those both the machines to the domain controller. Then we configured Windows cluster on node 1. And then we had done some prerequisites like, disabling, adding firewall rules, then enabling the always on availability group, then, providing permissions to anti-authority system for availability group and so on. Right. So now in part 6, right, this is where, we were waiting for. So in part 6, we would be actually configuring the always on. So hope you all are excited, right? So let us start. So before you start configuring always on, make sure that you have logged into both the VMs through AD admin user under the Windows, administrative domain controller Active Directory account, right? So if you can see here, I am on Windows DC AD admin. So I am just connecting to node 1. So this got connected and I'm connecting with the same account. You should be able to connect to node 2 as well, right? So now you are connected. This is the first basically checking that whether node 1 and node 2 are connected from any of the machine, right? So now we have been connected. Now the first step is that we are going to go with the backup, full backup and log backup option. So for that, one more prerequisite is that we need to create one backup folder. So I'm creating the backup folder here, call as always on, sorry, always on backup, right? And you should you need to share that. You need to create a shared path, so shared, and AD admin should have the full rights, but here the AD admin itself is the owner. So I think this is okay, and uh, get this path so that you need to enter this path after on. Once you copy this path, press done, go back to SQL Server, right? On node 1, create one database. So let me quickly create database, my application, okay, and then I use my application, okay, and I'm creating one table into it. Create table employee, EMP ID integer and EMP uh, name varchar 10. Sorry, right? I have created this table, right? So on my node 1, you can see my application and the table is created employee. So we would be, putting this my application database into always on, right? Once this is done, right click on always on, go to the new availability group wizard, click next, and give the name you want. So here I'm giving SQL AG, right? And we are using cluster type as Windows Server Failover Cluster because till part 5 we have created this failover cluster. And one more thing, you need to enable this flag database level health detection. So basically before configuring this, it will check, like system will check whether your database is compatible for always on or not, right? And you can see here already, as we had checked this, if you had not checked this, then it might not have given you this information. But currently it is giving that full backup is required, and you cannot select this right? So let us come out of this, go back here, go to the task, and we need one backup. So, for configuring always on, there should be one full backup compulsory. I am putting this backup into backup directory and saying my first backup. As such, we don't need this backup, right? But it's mandatory. So we need to create, right? Now we have created the backup. Again, go back new availability again, second time SQL AG. Okay, I'm providing the availability group name. Click next. Let us click database level health detection. And now you can see it says that meet requirements. You can click and you can check also, right? So now you are able to click on this. So I clicked on this. Let me maximize this so that you can. So now see SQL node 1, as we have started configuration on node 1, it has been already considered as the primary role. I need to add the secondary here, so I'm adding secondary node. You can see here, right? Automatic failure up to 3. You need to check this so that synchronous commit would be the availability mode would be synchronous commit. And currently on readable secondary, you will have to say yes, so that we can fire some select queries on the secondary. Okay. Once this is done, click on next. Sorry, then comes the endpoint. Just check the endpoints, and if you want, you can actually copy this endpoint URL. And if you remember, while providing a firewall rule, we already opened a firewall inbound rule for 5022, right? Okay, so these are the endpoints. These are the backup preference. Uh, you can choose anything you want. I would go with primary right now, and listener, actually we are going to do it afterwards, and even read-only routing we are going to do it afterwards, right? So once this is done, click on next. And again, there are several options to, for data synchronization. One is automatic seeding. So in as automatic seeding, what happens? SQL Server automatically create database for every selected secondary replica. Automatic seeding requires that the data and log file paths are the same on every SQL Server instance participating in the availability groups, right? So this is automatic seeding. Then comes a full database. So you need to, here it has came automatic, but if it doesn't, then you will, if you remember that we had created the folder, so that folder, you need to provide the network path of that folder. You can directly, do a backup, full backup, and restore it in no recovery mode on each and every replica, and then you can say only join, right? Or you can skip the initial. So these are four options. I am going with full database and log backup. Click next. That's it. You can see, as we had not configured the listener, it is giving warning, right? Click next, and I think we are ready to, uh, you know, we are ready for our, all the configuration is done. And click finish here. And once you can see here, it would start creating. That's it. Everything is success. And yay, our database, always on has been configured. Okay. So now if you can expand this always on high availability group, you can see here our SQL AG. Currently it's primary, right? And under SQL AG, you can see availability replicas. So SQL node 1 is currently primary and SQL node 2 is secondary. What is the database? My application is the database, and listener. Currently we don't have listener. Similarly, if you expand on node 2, then you can see SQL AG. This is showing as a secondary, right? And availability replicas SQL node 1 and SQL node 2, and then availability database, my application, right? So now let us have the connection for node 2 as well. So in this, for this window, we have, you can see connection is for node 1, and for this window, connection is for node 2. And let us do use my application, right? Okay. And let us say select star from employee. Currently we don't have any data, right? So let us on node 1 insert something in employee. Insert insert into employee values 1 A, and let us insert one more value 2 B. Okay, I have inserted these values, right? And immediately you can see on node 2, yeah, we got these values, right? 1 and 2. Okay, as soon as we insert this, automatically it gets synchronized and you can get this value on your secondary node as well. Okay, now let us try to insert the same command, and let us do here on secondary node, and you can see it actually says it's an error. Failed to update database my application because the database is in read-only mode. Why? Because your secondary is currently in a read-only mode. It is a secondary database. Okay. So this was the demonstration of always on and how always on works, right? Now let us try something. So on right click on SQL, let us do a manual failover. So let us do it on SQL AG. So right click on secondary, you need to do that from the secondary. So right click and click on failover, click next and finish. See, it has it got a success. Close this and now just refresh this, and immediately now you can see node 2 has become my primary, right? And if you can refresh this, then node this has become a secondary, right? Now this was my primary connection. If you can see, still this is a primary connection. Now if I try to insert a record here, now it will actually it will error for my primary node, because now my primary has become the secondary replica, and the earlier secondary has become the primary replica, right? And now if you try to insert this value from earlier secondary, they would get inserted. Select star from, so there are two values, and if you do a star from, select star from employee, two values, right? So we had, we have successfully tested, manual failure also, right? Basically, in real scenario, failure happens, maybe automatic, or sometimes maybe due to some reason you might have to do a manual failure also. Right, guys. So hope you have liked this. Right now, during this configuration, right, we had actually, to be very frank, we have not used any best practices related to firewalls, or related to creating an active directory and joining to the domain controller and so on. In real life scenario, I think this would be much secure. There would be much secure way to do this, right? But for this demo purpose, our objective was to to show you that how to configure domain controller, how to configure Windows cluster, how to add nodes to the domain controller, and then to configure the always on. Right, so here, at such in this is the part 6, and here we have successfully actually configured always on, and I have shown you, how always on works as well. I have shown you the failover also, right? So hope you have liked this video. Uh, if you have liked this, then please press the like button, subscribe to the channel so that you would get notification whenever I upload such videos, and don't forget to share this with your friends and colleagues. Right now, in part 6, we would be adding the listener, and then I would show you, how the listener works. Right. So, great guys, thanks again for watching. Meet you in part 6. Till then, bye, take care.